What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you stick around. This video, we're going to get this small block Chevy running. It's a friend of mine's, and he asked me just to make sure that it ran. He's building a square body Chevy. I'm not sure where he got the motor from, where it came from. I'm not real sure on all the details. All I'm saying is I was asked to get this thing running. That's what we're going to attempt to do. So as you can tell, it's been sitting here for just a little bit. We got some gaskets here. There's a flywheel underneath there. As you can tell, there's no intake, no valve covers, headers, flywheel. He dropped off most of the stuff. I've got a few odds and ends over here on the other side. We're going to bolt on this thing. We're not doing a water pump, stuff like that. We're just going to get this thing running on a stand. I've got a set of long tube headers with roughly 3 or 4 foot of pipe, and then some flow masters. We'll bolt on this thing so we can at least make sure it's not rod knock or anything like that, and it won't be too obnoxious to hear anything like that. So yeah, not much to this video, but this would be kind of a how-to on how to start / kind of assemble a small block Chevy on the floor outside of a car. So if you want to see that, stick around. So let me drag this thing out, and we'll start slapping some parts on her. All right, so I've gathered up everything that I think we're gonna need, everything that he's brought us. I had a set of cheap valve covers on the other side over there. I hoard Chevy stuff for some reason. Anyways, we just need some bolts for that, which is okay because in this box here, he brought us, it's from Jay's, it is an entire bolt kit for a small block Chevy. Now, the only unfortunate part of that is we need flywheel, flex plate, whatever you want to call it, bolts. Those are not in the kit for some reason. I'm not sure what's up with that, but I have another motor sitting over here. I'll just rob them out of that, so we can get that on there. The starter has the bolts in it, so that's a plus. This is the distributor we're going to use. I have tons of plug wires, and this here is the intake we're going to use. Not going to take a whole lot to get it going. Chevys are pretty simple when it comes to this stuff. Once the starter's on, the distributor's on, basically we need battery cables, positive ground, power to the distributor, and a starter wire. And this thing's basically just going to sit here and run as long as that carburetor's okay. But that's a bridge we'll cross here in a little bit. But like I was saying, we got our intake gaskets, valve cover gaskets, and everything else to start slapping this thing together. So let me set you guys up and get her together. Okay guys, there's only a few things that I'm going to touch on while I'm putting this thing together, mostly because this is all just bolt together stuff. But one thing that I will say, no matter what you're messing with, if it's been sitting for a long period of time, your bolt holes, they're gonna get full of stuff, and you really should run a tap down to these. Now, I'm not gonna say do it how I do it, but this is how I do it, so don't do it this way. But I just got a 3/8 by 16 tap in my drill, and I just go through here and I'll run this down through every one of these holes just to clean the junk out of them, and you will be surprised at how much this actually helps. And thankfully with small block Chevy, 99% of the holes in this thing 3/8 by 16, so you can pretty much do the entire motor with one tap. If you're gonna do it this way, be super careful. Don't just go cramming it in there. Once you mess up a hole, then you got to oversize it and re-tap it and all that. But I'm going to go through this whole thing just about like this. Really easy. Running in, running out, and just clean these holes out. As you can see, there's stuff all over this tap. So I'm going to go through here. I'm going to do all the accessory holes, the water pump holes, every hole that I can. I'm going to run this through there, and then I'll come back and I'll show you my other little secret for putting the gaskets on here. And then really it's just bolt starter on, bolts flywheel on, yada yada yada. Anyways, I'm gonna go through here, chase all these holes, and I'll be back. All right, went ahead, like I said, got all of those threads chased. That's what we're looking for. Now, as far as gaskets go, there's so many different gaskets you can choose from, so many different ways you can do this. I'll show you the way I do it. If you like it, cool, do it. If not, cool, don't do it. Anyways, so these are the gaskets we have. These are what he provided, so these are what we're gonna use. I don't really have a preference on intake gaskets, to be honest. I've never really had a problem with any intake gaskets that I've gotten. So until then, I'll use whatever comes in a kit. Now, I'm usually a Fel Pro kind of guy. That's usually what I order, and that's not just because that's the only one you can use, because it's not. So anywho, you got your side gaskets here, and then it comes with these things here. And you take these, you put one here, and then you put one here. No, you don't. You take these and you just throw them in the trash because they're garbage, and they're gonna leak, they're gonna push out, and they're just not worth having. So what you want to do is get you a tube of silicone. Now, this stuff came with these gaskets. This is what he provided. Now, I use what's called Right Stuff. I'm not saying this is bad stuff. I've never even used it before. It's called Dynatext. Could be good, could be bad. I don't know. This is what we're going to use. It came with him. But I use Right Stuff. I've never had an issue with it. And until I do, I guess I'll keep using it. Now, this comes with the cool little straw thing. You don't need that. Throw that away. Poke a hole in this thing as big as you can with the cap, because we're going to need full flow here in a little bit. Now, to hold these gaskets in place, I usually go around the water jacket, the water jackets, which is the front one here and the back one on both sides. I'll just take this and I'll smear a little around this, and it will just hold it, and it also helps seal it later. So yeah, just put a little bit on here, not a whole lot, just enough to hold it. Like I said, it does help with sealing this gasket to the intake as well. It keeps it from moving too when you're putting this thing together. And you line it up, put it on there, and just press it down, and it'll hold it from sliding around. Then you ain't got to fight with your bolts and everything else later. So this is my first little tech tip, I guess you could call it. Put this stuff on here. This is hitting the valve cover, which is because there's no gasket in there, which we'll cross that bridge here in a minute. Yeah, get this lined up. Like I said, the RTV will hold it there. Now, the reason I said put a big hole in there and throw your gaskets away is you're going to take this and you're going to make a gasket. I usually put a decent amount in these corners for sure, because that's where it's going to leak if it's going to, and then put a good 1/4 inch tall bead all the way across this. That way, when you set your intake down on this, it's going to squish this out of both sides, and you know for sure that you're going to have a good seal. Make sure you get the corner right here really good. Now, to be honest, I usually do. I'll put this in the corners even before I put the gasket down. So maybe I'll just pick this up a little and smear it underneath that gasket in the corners there. That way we know for sure it's under it and above it, and we know it's gonna seal. Same on the front, nothing different. I'll pick this up, squirt some under it first. That way we know the bottom of it's sealing. Get it all the way across there, then go across. Now, when you go to put your intake on, if you don't see this stuff squish out, just stop. Go back. Just stop there, go back, put more on it, because if it doesn't squish it out, that means there's a gap between your intake and, I call this the China wall. There's different names for it. I've always called it the China wall. But anyways, you want to make sure when you set your intake on here that you've got squish. That way you know for a fact that it's sealed. Then we're just going to take our intake and carburetor, which I didn't even check this, I should have. That's pretty clean. Just gonna take it, set it right down on here. Try to go just straight down. That way you're not ruining any of your RTV or anything like that. And we have squish in the front. We also have squish in the rear, which is what you want. Then you just take your bolts start putting them in. Easy as that. Now I have opted to not use the bolts that he provided with that kit, and that is simply because I don't know if this is the intake that he's going to use or anything like that. So I would rather him have bolts that are not all marked up for when he goes to put this into final assembly. That way they just look better later on, because you're always going to get marks on your stuff when you're tightening your bolts down. So if he wants it to be nicer, he can still have that option. So I just got some regular 3/8 bolts here. Just going to cram these in here. He can change them later if need be. Alright, now we just got valve cover gaskets. These are just Felpro brand, which I agree with, but these are what they came. This is what he dropped off. That's what we're going to use. Now in the the bolt kit over here, there is studs and bolts. I have no fancy tricks for these. Put them on dry. That's it. But yeah, we'll dig the studs and nuts out of this kit over here and get these valve covers tightened down so we ain't got no big leaks. Alright guys, got all that knocked out. Now, I went ahead and just bolted on the flywheel and just stole some bolts out of another motor I had. Got the starter on here. Those are pretty self-explanatory. Just 2 bolts in that, 6 bolts in that. I think it's 6. Yeah, 6 in that. And then I realized we're missing a few things, so I had to make a run to the parts store. A few things we're missing is we needed oil, obviously, and oil filter. There's not one on the motor. We're missing the distributor tie down to hold down the distributor. So I just went ahead, picked up one of those as well. I didn't have any manifold gaskets, and the battery cables, those are just to help start it. I thought I had a set laying around, but guess not. And then this is just, I didn't buy this. I've had this, as you can tell. It's seen better days. It's just an oil gauge. We're gonna screw that into the back of the motor right here, so that way we don't have a mess. I didn't pick up a dipstick. I didn't realize I was missing one until I got back. But I'm gonna drain whatever oil is in here, and then I'm just gonna put 4 quarts in this, and I know that's what they hold, so it'll be just fine. I will at least know that it's full. We should be able to build oil pressure with that and get the thing running on 4 quarts of oil, because, well, that's what it holds. But anyways, I'm going to probably throw the battery cables on this and hook a battery to it and crank this thing over, because we need to find top dead center. I'll show you my method of doing that, and that way we can get the distributor in here and start getting the plug wires on and all that. So let me set you guys up, and we'll get some wires on this thing and crank it over. Well, I figured I would change the oil before we crank this thing over, and good thing, because this thing had basically nothing in it. That's all that came out. So I got our topped off, put our brand new filter on here. I did go ahead and get the battery wired up, and this is really all you need to start one of these things. Just battery, cables, the negative just to the back of the head, I cleaned it up with a wire brush, and then the positive just to the big lug on the starter. And then I got one of the just buttons here to crank it over. The other one just goes on a small terminal in the back. I haven't hit the button yet, so let's see, it should crank it over. Oh, I also put the oil gauge in it, that way when we're cranking it doesn't shoot oil everywhere. But this should crank it over. All right, that is a huge plus. So, let me set you guys up on a stand, and I'll show you how I find top dead center. It's basically how everybody does it, but maybe there's somebody watching that needs to learn this, so 1 second. All right, so we're talking top dead center. You need to figure this out so when you drop your distributor in, you know where to start your firing order. So what I do, same as most people, take out number 1 spark plug, and you just put your finger in the hole, and then you're gonna bump it over. Whether you're using this or you just got a piece of wire, you're just gonna slowly bump it over until it blows your finger off. So we're just gonna bump it. Right there. Yeah, I don't know if you guys were able to hear that or not, but blew my finger off. And over here on the crank, the harmonic balancer, the timing mark is coming up to the timing indicator, whatever you want to call the thing over here. So we know that we're coming up because we've got compression, and that's a good place to start. Now you can get even closer. You can take and stick a screwdriver in here, but you got to be careful. But you can put a screwdriver in here and keep turning this over farther so you can make sure that the piston is all the way at the top. That way you know for sure that you got it there. Now, but for us, we're not doing anything crazy. This thing's probably going to get tore down after this to put a cam in it. He just wants to know that it runs good and it's not doesn't have anything detrimental going on the inside. So close counts for us, but I'm gonna get it just a little bit closer. I'll probably stick a screwdriver in here and hand crank it with a ratchet just to get it a little bit closer, and then I'll show you putting the distributor in this thing. All right, so for putting in your distributor, go ahead and take the cap off of it because you don't need that right now. And this here is your rotor button. Now, when they say that you want this pointing at number 1, what that means is the little tab here on the end, you want this to be pointing towards this number 1 cylinder. Now, I usually go like, basically for this port right here. Gets it just a little bit farther, and it lets you put your distributor a little bit straighter. It just looks good for when you get your wiring and everything done. So, what you're going to want to do, your vacuum for your advance goes on the passenger side. At least that's where I always put it. And you're going to want to try to wiggle this thing down in here. Oh, and we just got lucky because it went in the first time. Now it is a little bit past, but maybe I'll go ahead and try to get it 1 tooth back just because it'll look better. All right, I can't get it to go in. Now, something you can do, not a lot of people do it, but I've done it before and it's worked every time. It's just not dropping all the way into the shaft for the oil pump, because that turns, or sorry, this turns the oil pump in down in here. Anyways, what you can do is you can hold down on the base of the distributor so it doesn't come back out, and you can bump it over to get this slot to line up. It's worked for me every time. We're gonna go ahead and try it and see if it works again. Boom. I don't know if you guys could see that or not, but it dropped right down in there. Now, I know for a fact that number 1, when I put this cap on, is gonna be, well, if you put it on the right way, get on there. All right, this is gonna be number 1 because it's pointing towards number 1. And that's how we're going to wire this thing up. It's 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2. Odds on this side, even on this side, easy as that. But I think I'm gonna get these headers bolted on here first, get this plug back in here, and then we'll route the spark plug wires around the headers and make those work. So I'm gonna fasten this down, get this plug back in, and I'll be back after I bolt the headers on this thing. And we're like 1 more wire away from trying to start this thing. So let me get these headers on here. Alright guys, I'm pretty sure that I got everything settled. I made sure that I plugged off my vacuum lines, the exhaust is on, put all the wires on, and I ain't gonna lie, I did crank it over off camera because I just wanted to make sure that everything was okay. We do have oil pressure, so that's a huge plus. Just cranking, it went up to 20, so I'm more than happy with that. I got me a little bottle of fuel down here. I'm gonna poke a hole in the top of it, and I think we're just gonna bottle feed this thing. I don't feel like setting up a whole rig and all that, so. Oh, the only other thing I've done was make a distributor wire. From the battery side here, I just took a piece of wire with a spade connector, shoved it on that terminal, and that runs over to the positive side of the battery. So all we gotta do now, we touch that wire to the positive side of the battery, crank it over. As long as it's got fuel in it, it should run as long as everything in that distributor is good as well. So we should be good to go. I'm gonna set you guys up on this tripod, hit this button, see what happens. Wish me luck. All right, this is all our fuel source is. Just a bottle, just poked a hole in it. Just got some fuel in it. I don't know why I always get so nervous for this. In reality, it should be just fine. A little fuel. Let me just hit the button, see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't flip over. Oh, it needs some power. All right, let's go. You can't kill these things, man, I'm telling you. Let's do that again. I don't know the history on this motor either, so, and I promise that was first start. Go. Maybe we try to feed her a little. We got 35,000 volts under. That is so cool. Unreal. Well guys, that's about as simple and as easy as it gets. Like I said, these old motors, they just want to live. And you ain't gonna get nothing easier than firing up an old small block Chevy. I got, what, 3 wires right now? 2 battery cables and a wire for the distributor. That's it. These things are that easy, that simple. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this motor. I'm just going to turn it back over to the buddy of mine, see what he wants to do with it. I think there was plans. He just wanted to know if it ran good because he wanted to put a cam in it and this, that, and the other. So maybe we'll put a cam in it on the channel. I don't know. That I guess you guys will find out when I find out, which will be when you see another video. So at the end of the day, that's awesome. That's good news for him. Another customer satisfied, I guess you could say, even though he's not a customer. But yeah. If you guys have any questions, things I may have missed on, didn't touch on, just let me know down in the comments. Like I said, these things are pretty simple. Easy peasy. So, that is going to do it for this video. I'm going to pack all this stuff up. It's getting late, as you can see. It's getting dark out there. So, but yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. I'm doing stuff like this all the time. But anyways, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.